And we are recording. Hey, hello, Shawn. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you. Geez, I can't speak today. I appreciate you being on the show today. I got to ask you. So, how things in Nova Scotia these days?
Pretty good. Sunny today, thankfully. I mean, it stopped raining for a little while. For a little while, I was thinking that I might have to build an ark or something like that because it would just rain and rain and more rain, more rain.
Yeah, it's crazy that weather out there. As far as East Coast goes, you guys either it's like super, super lots of snow or lots of rain. And there are peak times where you get really nice sunlight and that's it.
Yeah, well, actually, we have been really good for snow. I only shoveled twice, maybe three times. So I consider myself lucky. In Nova Scotia, and not far from Halifax, the weather seems to be getting warmer and warmer each year. So less and less snow. We get snow, but it usually just melts away pretty quick. Which I know there's a lot of people, anti-global warming, but I'm kind of liking that part.
See, that's like the great thing about being Canadian because we have sometimes really extreme winters, and if you live here, you know that's snow is great. I love snow, but if you have to deal with it and drive through it and everything else, sometimes you kind of yeah, it'd be nice to have that Florida weather all the time.
No, it really would be. Maybe Nova Scotia in time will be Florida. That's what I think. If global warming keeps going, I mean, we will be. It'll be like this will
Well,
be
it's
the place to
interesting.
be.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting enough. I have so many people, so many friends of mine who are looking to move to Nova Scotia,
Yeah,
to get out of Ontario, get out of the rat race here in the Toronto area. And I actually have a couple, it's in my building. They're going back into, I think they're going to Sydney. They're moving to Sydney. They said, you know what, we're done. We got to get out of this craziness.
Sydney's pretty small, but it's very very home. You'll say that, but it's very small. I wouldn't. I don't think I could live in Sydney, but Nova Scotia is a beautiful province, beautiful place, right on the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, and I actually looking out at the ocean myself right now.
Oh,
I can't imagine being that far away from water. I used to live in Alberta for like 18 years, and the mountains were incredible, but there's something to be said about being near that much water, and it's I find it very grounding, just very grounding.
yeah. I'm just on the lake myself. So I do miss that. I do love the mountains. I absolutely love the mountains. It's like my place to go recharge if I need to go
Mhm.
out and recharge and stuff like that. But the water, yeah, I do enjoy sitting by the water. It seems like it just cleanses your energy field. It's just the
It does.
constant cleansing of it. Especially, I mean, with the salt water too, as well. There must be some definitely magical properties with the salt water and everything.
Oh, absolutely. I feel it's like really spiritually, it's a really good, for grounding your energy and balance. And I mean, my whole life I've been feeling like the urge to kind of live right or on the ocean somewhere. So I finally made that happen in the last few years, and still trying to develop my yard and stuff. But if I need, I can just walk down there and just get away and just enjoy the day.
Yeah, I mean that's so important. I mean, especially with the work that you do, it's really important to recharge and to get grounded a lot because I mean when you're dealing with spirit, you're dealing with like high vibrations, you can just really just take yourself somewhere else and not be in your body.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty good balanced that way with everything in my life. Like I'm busy, very busy all the time because I have a TV show called Spirit Talker on APTN, and from doing I've gotten a break because of COVID, but normally I would like tour across Canada and do live shows. And I haven't been able to do that for the last 2 years, which has been a blessing, I think, in some sense, because then it allowed me to do and, be more balanced in my life, I guess, where I might be trying to get out there and do more work. And it's allowed me just to kind of love myself a little bit greater and take some more time for myself, my family, my home. And I'm really, really enjoying that part. And I think, when we have a passion in life, whatever that is, whatever purpose that you feel is driving you in life, sometimes we feel like, we got to be out there serving full time, right? And then, when something like this happens, and it makes you realize, hey, I got to love me too. There has to be a greater balance in all this, and I think that's despite all the negative stuff that's happened because of COVID, I think that's the blessing in all this is like, finding the work life balance even greater.
Yeah, that's, it's interesting how you must be your intuition, or you must be psychic or something, because I was thinking about asking that kind of question. It's like, so, as far as COVID goes, it has been kind of a crazy, mix up thing, and everybody's kind of feeling stressed. Are you getting a lot of readings around COVID, and a lot of people asking for, spiritual advice, what to do, where they're going? It just seems like a lot of people are lost at this time.
Well, I do. I've had a lot of requests. I always have a lot of requests. Unfortunately, I don't do personal sessions anymore. I just do
Okay.
live audience, and I mean the TV show when I film is like 3 months nonstop. I'm like home for maybe a weekend over 3 months, and then I'm gone again, and it's very exhausting. And I also have an online course where I teach people about developing their intuition, rising in their higher spirituality, and making connections, and learning and understanding the language of spirit. Sounds like my cat's here somewhere. She wants to say hi. So if you hear me out, you'll know why.
Hey, not a problem. It's interesting, when as much as I've done this show, and it's amazing how the animals always seem to kind of, hey, what's going on? What are these guys
Yeah,
talking about here? They're always either dogs or cats, or, it's interesting how that happens. So,
right.
one of the things I love about my show is I get to interview like amazing people like yourself. And I'm always, very curious to ask, what are your people, like your peeps and your spirit guides, are saying about this whole COVID thing? I've always had, what kind of information are you getting, downloads, about what's happening, where the trend, where this thing's happening, anything like that at all?
Um, they haven't said a whole lot, to be honest. What I do feel is, I mean, they talk to me. They're always talking to me, but they're not really talking to me about world events per se. It's more about guidance in my life and what's going on with me and how I feel, or direction in one way or another. And but I feel, I mean, they're obviously uniquely aware of everything that's going on here in the world, and I don't think there's any accidents when things happen. Nothing's random, and I think we're supposed to look at life differently, each and every one of us, and we have to look at our work, our career, our happiness, our joy, our balance, and maybe not maybe, I'm 100% sure we as people have been so out of balance for so long that we need to be balanced some way, or what's our priorities, what's most important in life, and is it being busy all the time on the go, running the rat race, or is it maybe sticking at home a little bit more, maybe like going for those walks that you never get a chance to do, or taking time for yourself through it all. I mean, we're all going to make a journey home eventually, but hopefully, between now and that time, we live our purpose, but also, we learn how to balance that all out with, by loving ourselves greatly too.
Yeah, it's that's what I felt too as well. I found there was a balance, and it was kind of like an awakening to what is really important in life. And
Mhm.
because we get into that rat race, I mean, like you're saying, like if you're doing that television show, because I've worked in television for years, and it's a rat race. And especially if you're filming on location, you're going from place to place to place. I mean, it's hard to get grounded. You're constantly on the go, and long days, super long days. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're waiting around, waiting for the shot. I mean, and then you're okay, now are you ready? And it's like, okay, let's do that
Yeah.
again.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry. That
I
is
mean,
the
the only
motto
thing
of,
that is not scripted in a way on the show is the readings,
yeah.
because they don't know what's going to be said, or what's going to come through, what's going to happen, what spirit's going to communicate.
Yeah.
And but I mean, all the community stuff where I'm doing things in the community, I mean, they may say, okay, well, today I'm going lobster fishing, but who knows what that's going to entail when we're out there. I mean, the weather can shift and change, and I may connect to somebody in the boat. Who knows? They're just like ready, waiting for something to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And but I have to follow a plan each day. Is like, okay, today I'm filming, I'll be doing 2 readings. I don't know who these people are, but I know that I'll be reading 2 people, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And like, there is a lot of waiting and preparing and all this, and they're pretty good about being mindful of my energy too, because if I'm exhausted, then I'm not going to serve people very well, or I'm not going to be very in tune. So I make that abundantly clear to the production company, because if you don't communicate your energy and how you feel and where you need to be balanced to serve others, then you can't do the best job that you can do. And I mean, this is what I think, like, you can learn that yourself, through doing work like this, or maybe this is what COVID's teaching everybody again. It's like this, you know take time, balance yourself, be grounded, surround yourself with close family that you love, that, now that we can't spend that much time with that many friends, you value your friends greater, you value your family greater, you value your ability to even travel to see your children. It's just, you look at things with a different set of eyes, I guess.
Yeah, that is so true. Like it's amazing, something this horrific can make such beautiful changes too at the same time too, if you just pay attention to it too. So about your television show, it's really interesting when you do those readings, stuff like that. I know for some mediums, they get kind of like a almost like a precognition of what some of the information, to kind of get like a download prior to going into the thing. Do you find that yourself, you get into that, or is it just basically very spontaneous?
Usually I try to stay in the moment, but occasionally I will get something that I don't know how it's going to align, or who it's going to be for, or what's going to come out. And I mean, with season one, because I just filmed season 2 this year. We finished in November, and I just finished the voiceover work just a couple of weeks ago for season 2, which is coming out in the fall of 2021.
Congratulations on that.
But on season 1, there was a live show element where I would go out and I read people in a live setting. And I mean, the producers have cameras set up everywhere. They don't know who's going to be read, but they would often ask me before I would go out, I mean, are you getting anything? Are you feeling anything? Are you sensing it? Like, what? Are you picking up something? It could be so silly sometimes, I feel kind of silly even telling them, because I'm like, my God, I don't know. Somebody's telling me about a sucker. Like, I don't know why, but somebody's going to have a sucker, and I don't know why they're telling me about the sucker.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I remember it was in one community, Elsie Book, New Brunswick, which is a Mi'kmaq community that we were doing the reading sessions in. And I was reading a lady there who had lost her son, unfortunately, to suicide. And I connected to him. And anyway, one of the things he had said, and it was out of the whole season, she was the only person that spirit said, come up here, Mom, I want to give you a hug.
Oh, wow.
And that's what he said to me. He said, tell her to come up. Tell her, Mom, I want to give you a hug. And so she was speechless, because this is something that he would have only said to her. Yeah. Every time he would meet her, greet her, or leave her, those are his exact verbatim words that he would say is, Mom, come here, give me a hug. So that's the message he came through. And she said, like, when she did come up on stage, she said she didn't even feel her feet touch the floor. She just floated all the way up to the stage. And then I hugged her. And then, boom, the image of the sucker comes in my mind. And she goes, well, I said, and she mentioned eating a candy. And I said, was it a sucker? And she goes, yeah, it's in my pocket. And it was like, okay. So spirit, I mean, as odd and weird as it sounds, it's not something anybody knew about, but she had the sucker in her pocket, but her son. And long before I made the connection to her, and out of the whole season, having one person walk up on stage that I actually read on stage and I physically hugged on stage, it was relevant to that person and to the producers too, to see that it's spirit has a plan.
Yes.
We may think these things are random, but spirit says, no, this isn't random. I mean, you're going to be reading the mom who has a sucker in her pocket today. And as strange as it was giving that piece of information, it was relevant when it came up to the time that she walked up on stage. And there's where you just kind of get a step out of the way, and even if you think you're silly, and just give the message to the best of your ability accordingly, and then it makes sense. It unfolds. Yeah. It will show up in a way to help people understand that person, it was intention from spirit that it was meant to be.
Yeah, and that's it's over the years, I've always found that out. It is, spirit has their own way of doing things, and it's like you give what you get. It may not make sense to you. Like if you see a piece of pizza, it doesn't. I mean, what? Why am I seeing a piece of pizza? Doesn't mean anything to you, but to the person you're reading for, or somebody like that, it could be life changing. Which is so which. I've seen some of the videos you do, and I was just like, man, my heart just expands open. Like, how do you find yourself in those tough situations, because it is very emotional. It could be very draining, very emotional, because there's a lot of healing going around. Because in the end of the day, I think a lot of it, what mediumship is about healing and helping others heal with
It
that
is about
message.
healing. I mean, people, I mean, if you're going to see a medium, usually most people are going because they really want to talk to someone, even if it's just for a moment, or have something validated that they still exist on, and are able to communicate in such a way that they know that it's them, and that this is not some strange thing that that only they would know in some way. So they're looking for that validation, but it's not, they're not coming through just to validate, to say, hey, cool, like I can give you this piece of information. It's saying, hey, I'm with you. I know that you miss me. And they may often tell me why they pass, how they pass, and then they usually get to the root problem of what that person is carrying energetically. And because this is the process for why they connect or communicate through a person like myself or yourself or whoever, is to say, hey, I'm going to help you because I know you've been carrying this for so long.
Yeah.
And they go right there to this message. And it's so healing for that person to hear that thing that they said, I struggled. It's just a thing that they needed to hear, because, and again, this is another session I did in New Brunswick, and it was actually in the Quebec border, and it was in a town called Listowitch. And this young girl and this young man had stood up as I was talking to their mom. I don't remember her name offhand. But during the in-person session, because there was an element of like live, which I do these like little mini readings for like maybe 15 people in the audience that our spirit has intended for these people to get the messages. And then the producers pick a couple of people, 3 people from the audience, to say, hey, we'd like to follow up further on these readings, and we're going to invite them for a personal one-on-one. I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So they come in, we do the one-on-one session. And then the message that comes through in the one-on-one session is, you need to let go of the energy of having to remove my lifeline, because I was already gone. And you're thinking somehow that maybe I let you go too soon, or maybe you let me go too soon, and that you had to. See, my cat is just talking away.
It almost sounds like you have a child in the background.
I know. She's like, she wants to go upstairs with the door shut, and she's gonna keep doing it until she gets my full attention and say that, okay, let me upstairs. But
I mean, do you want to let her out? I mean, I could stop the recording and then you want to let her out?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, hold on for a second. Let me just. Okay, now we're back. We had a little technical difficulty here. We had a feline interruption.
Yeah, my cat.
Your cat
wanted to go upstairs, and she wasn't going to stop meowing until I let her upstairs. So the story I was talking about was in Listowitch, Quebec, on the New Brunswick-Quebec border.
Yeah.
And I was reading a young man, a young woman who were brother and sister. And when I connected to the mom, and this is in the one-on-one session part of the reading, but they had to remove. Now, this is not something they have revealed to me, or that's not something that anybody's told me. It's not information that I'm privy to. This is coming from spirit. And what their mom had said, because she had struggled with prescription drug addiction, and she was like, self-medicating herself in life because she struggled for various reasons. And eventually she had some type of stroke and ended up in the hospital in a coma. And then I think she had checked out energetically and spiritually. She went home, although her body was still alive. Okay. And they kept her on life support. And the daughter, who ultimately had to make the decision to say, at some point, to remove her mom from life support so that she could go home to the spirit world, because the doctors had advised, that she's not coming back.
Yeah.
There's no brain activity. But I mean, no matter who you are, facing that decision of thinking, well, what if?
Yeah.
Maybe if we hung on for another day, maybe if we hung on for another few days, maybe our faith will help us. Maybe she'll come back, or maybe her brain activity will pick up again. And so ultimately she had to make that choice at some point to remove her mom from life support. And
Wow.
when her mom come through, that was one of the profound messages. And if you get to watch that episode, which you can on APTN Lumi if you choose, because you can watch these on the APTN website. I think the first week's free, and you can always watch Spirit Talker on there, season 1.
Okay.
And I've watched the episode myself. And when I told her about her mom telling me that it was okay, that she needs to let go of the energy of like letting her go to the spirit world and removing her from life support, that was the right call, and the energy she's been carrying all along. You could just see this, just this breath, and there's just this sigh and this breath come out of her when I said that, and it was like, it's a very, very powerful moment, because in that moment she released this energy she'd been carrying for almost a year of that experience with her mom and letting her go home to the spirit world. And those energies that so many people carry for so many different reasons is what Spirit's trying to help people with, to release, to let go, to move on, to heal,
Yes.
to live more present, to move into a space of like, regret or remorse, but into a space of relationship. That even though I have left you, and I'm still with you, I still communicate to you. I still know that you think about me and talk to me, and they'll often tell me things that nobody should know to validate that they're still with them. And it could be as silly as like, that your fridge broke yesterday, right? Your mom tells me she was at your house yesterday and you were fiddling with the fridge because the freezer just won't work anymore. She goes, oh my God, it broke yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, well, why do they tell me that?
Yeah.
Not because it's really cool that they broke the fridge, because that's not Spirit's intention. It's that, hey, I was with you and I'm around you. Even if you don't know I'm there, I am there.
Yeah.
I still spend time with you, and there's where we think we're disconnected. And that, even that part, or that element of change that we can facilitate with Spirit, it shifts people's lives and awareness to live a more connected life rather than this grief-stricken, separated life that we feel like that they're gone.
Yeah, and it's so profound. I mean, I just had a podcast with a young lady. We talked about grief, and she's a grief specialist, and how people get stuck in that grief. And it was basically through her own grief that she went through this process and became a grief counselor. And it is so profound and so healing that some people will hang on to that for years and years, and it just makes them sick. And it just that small amount. And it's interesting too, because you do so much of live audience stuff, and it's almost reaching more people than you can by just doing individual readings. It's so much more profound. And a lot of people during those readings or during those events, not everybody gets a reading, because you can't just do 1,000 readings. I mean, it'd be great if you could, but did you notice that the messages that you give for one person may be helping, Sarah in the 5th row at the very back there, help her too, because it was the same message that she needed to hear, but this couple got the message instead. It was like, okay, you need to let go. Do you find that too as well?
I absolutely do. I mean, Spirit's intelligent enough to know that if you're going to give this person the message, that somebody else is going to benefit from the same message.
Yeah.
And I have a good friend that I toured with in the past, named John Holland from the States, out of Boston.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I know John. Yeah.
John's a great guy. And anyway, we talked about this. And one of the things that John had talked about with me, and he had mentioned to me, and how to look at it in this way was, he called it letters and postcards. He said, some people are getting the direct letter, but there's other people getting little postcards, from the same message. And, some people need the direct message, but there's other people getting little pieces out of other people's readings, that out of what they heard for that person and saw that healing take place, that other healings are taking place in other people's hearts, because there's something similar. There's something that they could say, hey, that's me too. And again, Spirit is like immensely intelligent in knowing what people are struggling with or dealing with, that are in that audience, and knowing giving that person will reach 10 other people.
Yeah.
And I think with the messages that come through, maybe out of the 15 or so readings that I do in a live audience setting, that through those 15 readings, everybody's been touched in one way.
Yes.
Everybody's been helped in some way to look at their own life and their own grief and be able to maybe move through it in a different way.
Yeah, it's so profound. And one of the things that I found out, just through listening to other people too as well, is just the vibration of love that just changes the whole audience too as well. I mean, even though you may not be getting the individual reading, but when you're in a group of people who are opening their hearts and letting go, and you're now, allowing the next person beside you to open up their heart, and it's kind of like this domino effect with throughout the thing, and spirit's like going, yeah, we're going to, change all these people all at the same time, because it's a very, very profound, very, very profound.
Right. And I mean, even usually when I do a show, I'll even, at the beginning, I kind of joke about it. So I said, so how many skeptics are here? And there's usually like, 4 or 5 people put up their hand. I'm like, oh, come on, there's more of you than that. And then another couple of people put up their hand, and they're like, so. And then I said, so I'm going to read you guys first, just so you know. And then I just kind of make fun of it and, kind of break the edge of like thinking that it's okay to be skeptical, because through the whole experience of seeing whether it's a reading for you or for someone else, changing, being open-minded enough to see that your perceptions can change of how this works or how this process happens and what comes through, and how it affects those people that are receiving those messages. And it actually was funny. I was with John Holland. See, Spirit must want me to talk about this, because I actually had a lady who was probably like in her mid 60s that was sitting front row, and she was just a small little in frame lady, just tiny. And we were in an auditorium, so the stage was fairly high. So when she, I asked everybody, who was skeptics in the audience. I mean, she definitely put up her hand like it was a big deal. And so anyway, throughout the session, I ended up connecting to her.
Wow.
And I looked at her, I said, I'm pretty sure this is for you. I said, you don't have any children, right? She says, no. I said, but you lost 3. And she said, I have. I said, you had 2 abortions and you had 1 miscarriage. I said, you lost your faith when you lost those children. And I said, ever since that time, because you've been mad at God or the creator or whatever, thinking that because you feel like you're being punished because you had 2 abortions, and when you wanted to have the child, you miscarried, and you were never able to be a mom. And she just cried.
Yeah.
And I said, and then I kind of made a joke. I said, you still skeptical?
That will change the energy real quick, right? You just got to just snap her out of that, right? Because something that profound, and but that's also spirit too as well, right? Because it's amazing how, because they'll see that they're so struggling and they'll release all that, and then they'll make that little joke just to kind of change and shift, like, oh, okay, now, because now it's reaffirming that, hey, we got your back, we've been around here,
And then she answered honestly, and she said, you're right. Ever since I lost my child, I've lost that faith that that there was a creator, because I felt I'm being punished in some way, and I didn't think a creator would ever do that. And I said, well, you're not being punished. And then I worked through that and helping understand her journey through life and what she was here for in some sense, and connected to a few other people, and then moved on. And then after the show, I got this message from her, and she said, that was that small, middle-aged, she called herself, even though she's probably about 65, lady in the front row. But she said, man, she says, you changed my life.
Wow.
She says, I'm no longer skeptical. I'm starting to pray. I'm starting to meditate. She says, it's shifted me. And there's other people there too, like in that are skeptical. And again, if the message in the sense of connecting to that person and seeing the shift within her and knowing things that nobody should know about her life situation and things she'd been through and all that those other people that might be like kind of on the fence are going, but maybe there is more to this. Like, there's no way you could know that.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Yeah.
It's just profound.
Yeah, that's what it's really about. It's that profound. It's just that the profound moments that change. Now, do you find, a lot of people, it is a lot about lack of faith in the creator? Like, they kind of feel abandoned from the creator.
We're disconnected from our spirit.
Yeah.
We've been so disconnected from our spirit for so long. I'm an Indigenous person, Mi'kmaq, and although I wasn't raised with my Indigenous culture and things, I mean, Indigenous people have been profoundly connected to their spirit for centuries upon centuries, and having a relationship with the Great Spirit and the spirit of everything that we're surrounded by. And even our people have lost their connection to that.
Yeah.
And I think other cultures, whether it was like you were raised Baptist or Catholic or Muslim or whatever, I feel like more and more churches are closing down, and more physical locations for people to learn about faith in that sense are closing down. And there's this disconnect.
Yeah.
Because they've stopped praying, they've stopped meditating, they stopped opening their heart or having conversations with the greater whole, whatever you want to call that, or whatever it is, or spirit or consciousness. It's really all synonymous for the same thing.
Yeah.
And I feel people searching. It's not that there's a lot of skeptics, it's just they've not had an experience, and they don't even know how to even go about having an experience, or even how to raise their own energy, their own vibration to experience, things on a greater level. And I think that's where people are searching.
Yeah, that is so true. That's so profound. Do you know why it really happened? Is there one particular thing, or has it just been a combination of things over the years that we've kind of lost this connection to spirit and source and stuff like that?
Well, I don't want to blame science, but I think our schooling system, and our schooling systems have moved away from even praying at school. I mean, keeping religion. And so religion's become this kind of, bad thing. And I'm not, advocating for religion anyway. I'm advocating that we have a personal relationship with spirit, rather than feeling you need to go to a house or a building or a place or whatever, that we're all equally connected to the same source. Yeah. And I think that we've been moving away from the faith part of practiced, connecting our prayer to source, and moving more into our work, moving more into our hobbies, or moving into some other part of our life, and then forgotten about, this energy that's going on within all this physical form that we think is physical anyway.
Yeah, I always say it's like our meat suit. We kind of get lost and, we forgot. And it's this kind of sense of wholeness that we're looking for. And we're starting to realize that, all the stuff that we try to buy and do and things like that is not making us whole. But the one thing that we're missing is that, the divine connection to our source, or to the creator or God, how you want to, do it. And again, it is missing there. And that's one of the reasons I was kind of inspired to do this channel, is to try to give information, different things, different topics that may just start piquing somebody's interest, to kind of take a look at their own spirituality and get connected, whether it's through mediumship, or doing psychic classes, or, listening to other different doctors, and just different things to try to help them get connected to that. And I know you have a fantastic course that helps people to start connecting that. Do you find that after you've done your group readings and stuff like that, people are asking, Shawn, I need some more information. How do I start doing this? How do I get connected? Because it is so profound. And is that why you just developed your courses to help people?
I was burning myself out literally by serving people in a way that I was doing one-on-one sessions. So many. I think I was doing like 14 a week or something like this at one point.
How many?
14 sessions a week. And I was just getting like 3 a day, and sometimes 4 a day, and then like an hour and a bit long. And I started to burn out massively.
I can barely get one done sometimes.
Now I'm like that now. Like I do a couple, and I'm like, man, I could take like a 2-hour nap after.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just getting old or stuff with that. I know I'm getting old.
Maybe so. I do a live show, and I don't feel the same way. I feel energized.
Yeah, I think it's that group energy, right? Like, I mean, because it is so uplifting, right? I think because if somebody opens their heart, all that heart energy is up. So everybody else is elevated, because you have to elevate yourself so high to a level to connect with spirit anyways. Mm-hmm. And then they got to bring themselves down. So it's almost like an electrical charge. You got to kind of plug into that. And sometimes it's really easy, and sometimes it's just, it is draining. But then you have the emotion of the individual and sitting in their energy, and because you're trying to raise them up to feel better. And
Right.
yeah, it's quite a dance.
It is. And I enjoy it. That's why I enjoy so much more the live setting format than in an audience, because I can reach so many more people that way and I don't feel as drained. And it's something I enjoy much greater than I do on the one-on-one level. But serving people that way is just hard. It's just hard. Like you'll burn yourself out if you try to do too much. And I've learned that. I've been doing this work for over 20 some years, probably close to 25 years. And it's just,
Wow.
you gotta love yourself too, right? You're not going to be good for other people if you're not balanced, right? So
Yeah. And I think that's, it's interesting. You really got to have that. And it's not really being selfish. It's about just being self-care, which is it's a big difference, right? It's important. I mean, we want to be able to serve.
yeah,
But we can't be there for everybody. We got to take time. We got to kind of say, okay, enough.
Right.
I need to recharge, re-energize,
But with my course, Spirit Talker Tribe,
Yes,
this is
please
where
talk about that.
I moved part of my work from, because it's really cool to come to a medium. It is. It's absolutely awesome. It's a great start to your own enlightenment. And because then when you realize spirit can communicate, then it shouldn't be like, well, I want another medium reading. It should be like, well, I want to be more connected to spirit. I want to be like connected to spirit too. I want to be in that energy. I want to be in that mindset. If it's capable and possible for me or for you or for other people, it's capable for everyone. That we have that ability to connect. And it's just understanding a language of communication that comes through. That's hence my book is called the Language of Spirit. But it's understanding the language with which spirit does communicate through people, whether it's like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairalience, clairambience. It's all those things. And those are fancy words for all just like inner communications that come through from spirit, right? But when you raise your energy and when because if you can go to a medium and see that it's possible, well, then maybe it's possible for you to have your own relationship with your own people, but also with spirit, and then watching it unfold in your life daily. And that's, instead of feeling like you need to come to somebody like me or you, it's like, I'm in that mindset of energy. I never personally, and no offense to anyone in any way, I'm never out there seeking to go to see a medium for myself. I don't. I have that personal relationship. And I want to give, through my course, is give people that ability to have that personal relationship.
Yeah.
Where you're connecting to spirit, where you're talking to them and communicating to them, raising your energy and understanding how that's possible. Expanding raising your energy through your chakra system, and then how to even talk to spirit, how to pray, how to meditate properly, how to train your mind to be able to see greater, and not seeing with your eyes, but seeing in your mind. Because your eyes don't even really see. It's just, that's a misconception that we think our eyes see everything. It's your mind that sees. It just allows the light from your eyes go into your brain to see.
Yeah.
What else can your brain see? I mean, we see things when we sleep. We see things, we daydream. We have so many things happening in our mind that we're seeing.
Yeah.
But if it's not shown from these physical eyes, then it's not real.
Yes.
And that's such a misconception. It's like, when you start to realize that maybe the things that your eyes see aren't always that real. Maybe it's what you're seeing in your mind, that the messages that come through from spirit are, that there's guidance, there's an intuition, there's a flash, there's a connection to your loved one. There's a memory that pops in your head out of the blue about your father that you haven't thought about in a long time. There's so subtle little things that are going on with us that most people don't even realize that they are having spiritual experiences. They've just chalked it up as their imagination, rather than imagination. That's what I say. It's not.
I like that. Can I borrow that? Can I borrow that?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
I'm gonna write that one down. That was good.
Imagination. It's something that starts in your mind and by seeing, but there's feeling and sensing and hearing even spirit in itself. And I think when you have these cumulative experiences, and that's why I even wrote the book, these are the several experiences that I've had in my life that brought me to be the person I am today, and what I've learned through many of those experiences. But when you start having your own experiences and you start expanding in your own understanding of connection to spirit, then that's a that's a gift that I can't give you. That's a gift that you discover within yourself. I can guide you to it, but if you do the work and you get out there and explore spirit itself, you'll be surprised.
Yeah, you'll never be bored.
Spirit is as real as real, man. It's not like, this is not like, I think back in the day, so this hairy fairy stuff, right? But man, I can physically record people talking to me sometimes.
Wow.
I can talk about spirits sometimes, and even have like an orb fly up during one of my live sessions. You'll see it like fly right, stop in front of me and then take off.
Yeah.
It's like, spirit is with us.
Yeah.
But if you don't live in that mindset and you don't know that, then there's this disconnection. And so where I feel like just super jazzed and energized is like saying, hey, I want to bring everybody up to that level of energy. I want to bring everyone up to that space and place, so that we can all live life and look at life differently.
Yeah. I mean, that was so profound, and it could tell that you get jazzed about it, because, you were very kind of monotone, and then you start speaking about it. It's like, man, you're going somewhere with this. And you could just feel it. Cause I was like, oh man, I'm getting the goosebumps feeling this sitting here like that. And it is profound. I guess that's that old expression where, you teach a man or you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, and you teach him how to fish, and you'll feed him for a lifetime. And that's that same kind of mentality where, we'll give you the tools. You can do this. It's not like you can't do this. It's just like, if you create that awareness. And I love the fact that you're talking about empowering people, because that's my shtick. I love, bringing information, inspiration, and empowering people to make those choices, like really empowering them to make those changes. And like you said, it is a domino effect, because once you start getting your own kind of connection to source and creation, stuff like that, and you get to see that, and it's so much out there. Like, you really don't, you see so little. We do see so little, and then you get so excited about that, and then everybody goes, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing now? What are you taking? Are you on any drugs or anything? And you're just like, no, like, I'm really not. Like, I'm just kind of finally seeing, what's out there, what's available. And then that enlivens your own spirit, allows more of that energy to come into you and to feed that soul and to move forward on that. So that's, love that.
Yeah. I mean, like, even having like a relationship with your guides, right? Knowing that you have some people that are particularly just there for you, helping you. And I mean, I have a few guides myself, like Sam and Victoria. I have another guide that I don't know her name yet, but I know she's kicking around. She's showing up in a couple of my dreams, so I know that what she looks like, but she hasn't really said, hey, I'm so and so. I haven't heard that yet, so I'm still waiting for that. Even today, through all of my journey, like, it's still revealing itself in incredible ways. And nobody's going to know everything. We're never going to figure it all out. But there's little bits and pieces of like the greater truth that we're being supported, that our ancestors are with us, and that they love us unconditionally, whether it's from this lifetime or many. It's not a strange concept. And having that relationship with your guides has really empowered my life too. And I often do things spiritually where I'll sit there even just sometimes and just like have a conversation where I'm like going a place, and I'll just turn on my digital recorder, and I'll actually record my guide saying things in the background.
Wow.
And you could like, and when I play back, and sometimes I hear them, sometimes I don't, I miss them. And then I play back and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even hear her say that. But maybe she was saying it subconsciously to my mind, and I was getting it on a different level.
Yeah.
But when you play it back, you can tangibly hear her voice, saying this or that or whatever. I picked up a really cool one the other day. I went out and did like a little paranormal investigation at a place in Nova Scotia with a few friends, and I recorded, I believe it was my guide, but as soon as we were walking up to the place, there was one girl who is in my course, but she was a little fearful about connecting to a earthbound spirit. And I was trying to talk to her, and then in the background, you hear somebody go, there are several angels. And I was like, I never heard that when I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't. But when I played back, I mean, it was very distinct that there's somebody else saying there, don't be afraid. You're being supported by many, many angels in this moment because of, what you may or may not face. We didn't really face anything. It wasn't scary at all.
Yeah.
And I've experienced this earthbound spirit there before. And even with earthbound spirits, I mean, and I've seen so many paranormal shows where people try to demonize everything, like everything's dark and
Yes.
bad and scary and it's just horrible.
But
They're
that's what
just
sells. But
people.
that's what sells, right?
They're just all people. They're all people. They have lost their way. They've not found their way back home to the light. And they
Yeah.
may have, just because you are spirit doesn't mean that you can't have fear, you know, and having it, when you leave this body, you can still carry fear. And there's people that are still, exist in the world sometimes with that fear, and they still won't even move into the light. They're still skeptical.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's interesting, you talked about that because I just had Jackie Dennison on from the Rescue Mediums on yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we talked
she's
exactly.
I've seen her from Rescue Mediums back in the day, I think.
Yeah, so she was fabulous. Had her on, and we talked exactly about that same thing. About like, 'cause she goes, no, like don't get in this whole evil, demonic stuff like that. It's exactly the same thing. Like they just a lot of fear, some confusion, things like that. And she says, I'm like a spirit counselor. That's what she.
That's exactly. Yeah.
That's what she does. She says, I'm a spirit counselor. I just go in there and talk to them like I was like doing a psychologist, and we're trying to figure out the problem is and help them out. And once they realize that, and she says, I take them to their happy spot. Once they're in their happy spot, there they go.
Boom. They're into the light. Yeah. No, I know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I try to, if I run into any of those people, because they are people, as scary as they may try to come across as, because I've run into some that may be scary, but they're just people still. And I just, I usually say, man, you're not fooling me, so you might as well give up the gig. But I know you're just a person. And then they start talking normal. I'm like, okay, well, how can I help you? And most times they just run from me, and I want to help them, but they're like running the heck away from me. Like, no, come back.
Well, hold on.
Let's work this out. We can get you through this. You gotta forgive yourself for moving into a higher level energy. And how can we help you heal?
Yeah.
Whether you're a person physically in physical life, or if there's an earthbound spirit, how can you help them heal so that they can move to higher level energy? And that's what this work is all about.
Yeah, that's so true. I think I have
with spirit.
Yeah, I think I have this quote here I took down from, I don't know if it was your website or from where you're saying it, just like, mediumship has never been about talent. It's about service. We are the voices of the voiceless.
Yes.
Yeah. I read that and I was like, man, that's so profound.
It is profound.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, even though, that's a cool quote, but they still have voices sometimes. They're not all voiceless. And the more spiritual, the more in tune you become, the more you actually hear them sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not scary. I mean, like, I've actually, like I said, I have literally hundreds of recordings of people talking to me over the years, and it's normal to me now is someone else talking to me.
Yeah, it just becomes the norm. It's like at first, because you're not used to it, you may kind of it's like, okay, this is a little weird. This kind of may freak you out because you'd be sitting there, and I've had, I haven't had it a lot, but I've had it once in a while where it's just something like, hey, Mike, and it's like you're looking around, and I got a little freaked out. Okay, what's going on? Like, where did this come from? But then I just settle back down, and then it's like, give me a second. Okay, then it's like, all right, then you can hear the information. But yeah, I mean, for the non-trained, yeah, I guess it would be a little bit, but it really isn't.
No, once you get over that little hump of being fearful for a moment, and you just accept that they're just all people in different levels of energy. And in serving, the higher level spirits to help people heal, or serving those lower earthbound spirits to help them move up to a higher level energy so they can move beyond whatever they're carrying. That's really what it's all about. It's helping people heal in different levels of energy.
Yeah. And that's, I always think that, our jobs on earth are basically, we're servants of the divine, we're basically employed by source. That's our job, to bring that energy back into.
But you know what? I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in the whole world that I would want to do other than serving and working with spirit. Yeah. It's something that brings me so much joy. And when I, even if I do a couple of readings and they exhaust me, those people that I get to help, is so rewarding. It's so rewarding to see people's energy change and see their hearts, shift, and that they move into this like healing space, and it's very powerful. And I can't do it all the time, but when I do it, I enjoy every moment of it. And I'm grateful for the work that I do, and I'm grateful for the Creator for trusting me to do it.
Well said. It's very, very profound. So that being said, Shawn, we're almost out of time here. It just kind of flew by here. So
It flies, eh, buddy?
it does. It certainly does. So so if people are looking for you, Shawn, they want to find more about your courses, your books, and things like that. Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on my website, Shawn, SHAWN hyphen or dash Leonard, LEONERD.com. And my book's for sale on there. You can get it on Amazon.com or .ca or Indigo Chapters also carries the book. If you want the course, please sign up for my email list. And I launch my Spirit Talker Tribe course every September. It begins on October 1st, but every September 7th to 30th is my launch. And then on October 1st, I just serve my people for the rest of the year. And I walk them through all the modules that are listed on my website. And it's great. This year, I think I have 650 students.
Oh,
and it's like I have a year 1, year 2, and year 3, and it just grows every year because the people that I am serving in my course go out and tell people. I don't have to do anything. They're like recruiting people for me. It's like, come on, you got to take this course, man. This changed my life. And I was like, and so more and more people sign up every year, and I think it's awesome. And
that's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
The greatest thing I pride myself on, other than serving Source and the Creator, is being a teacher.
Yeah.
And helping people learn about their own connection, because again, it's the fish thing. You can teach them to fish and they'll never starve.
Yeah, that's so profound. And again, that's why I've kind of titled this the metaphysical mentor, just mentoring people out there and having people like yourself like mentors. And it's not me that's actually the mentor. It's my people on the show who are the mentors. They're the teachers out there, and I have a deep affection for teaching. I love teaching. That's my thing too. I love it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to be doing it more often than not. And I think it's fantastic, all the things that you do. That being said, Shawn, I'm just going to close off the show. This has been the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. Thank you so much for tuning in, and goodbye for now.